saying no without feeling guilty. And saying no is okay. And what we need to do is we need to learn to say no without allowing ourselves to feel guilty. Let me say that again. It's okay to say no without allowing yourself to feel guilty. Too many times we were about saying no, and we were about if the person going to get offended or the person going to be disappointed. Well, we need to learn your no is your no, and then we need to learn not to allow other people's feelings to affect our decision. People have to realize, and then you have to stand firm and let your no be your no. That's just like when you was growing up and you go and ask your mom, your dad, or you ask somebody for something and they say no, then they know it's a no. You have to respect that. But we also have to realize that no is not a negative word. No can be something positive. For one thing, we know that no will help set boundaries. Boundaries within yourself and then boundaries with other people. So I did a video a couple of weeks ago that talked about setting boundaries. So I will encourage you to go back and listen to that video about setting boundaries, because boundary is going to set limitations on you or what you want to do, and then it's going to set the expectations to other people on what they can ask you for. So sometimes saying no can be difficult, especially for those that we love. And normally when we talk about those that we love is family and friends. And to tell a family member no, you still should not feel guilty. Because if that family member or that friend love you, they understand you, then they should not be offended or disappointed because you said no. Because I want to assure you today, it's okay to say no. So one of the reasons or one of the things that we need to do is we need to learn how to stop overcommitting to things that we don't want to do. Things that people want to do, things that people are asking us to do. Too many times we overcommit in doing things that we don't want to do. And when you begin to overcommit to things, that's when you are going to become very stressful. So if you're trying to eliminate being stressful, burdened down, and unhappy, I'm saying set that boundaries and learn to say no. So then we begin to say, or have you thought about when you haven't said no, what happened? So think about that for a few minutes. Someone asks you to do something, and instead of saying no, and you say yes, think about the effect it had on you. Think about, was it worth you saying yes to? That's what we have to do, is sometimes you have to embrace the word no. Now we also have to realize this. How can we tell people no without ourselves feeling guilty? Well, one thing is what we have to do is when we say no, is no, and we need to stop having to give explanations of why we say no. I have learned this myself. If I tell my children, no, I cannot do this, I don't have to go into step by step and reason by reason on my reason for telling you no. I don't have to tell you the reason behind my decision. But there are ways that we can be cordial, be friendly and nice to our family and our friends. And when people begin to ask you something, you can tell them no without feeling bad. And so what you can do is you can say, one, sadly, I have something else going on. Do you have to explain what that something else going on is? Absolutely not. I'm sorry, I'm unavailable right now. I have something else going on. Two, I have another commitment. The other commitment might be you had a long day of work and you just want to go home and take a hot shower. You want to meditate, or you just want to get in the bed early. I have another commitment, a commitment to yourself. Now, what is that commitment? You don't have to share what that commitment is. 3, you can say, I wish I was able to do this, but it isn't a good time for me right now. It's not a good time for me. So it's okay to say no. Now, you don't have to go into details of why it isn't a good time. A good time can be, the list can go on what is a good time to you. What is a good time to you? What is a good time to me? Can be from north to south, from east to west. Then the other thing you can say, I'm just afraid I can't do it right now. Not afraid as in a fear. I'm just afraid right now. I don't want to commit and tell you that I can go, I can do this, because you cannot make that what? You can't make that commitment. And then you can say, hey, I passed on this invitation at the time. Every invitation that you get doesn't mean that you need to go. I just passed on the invite at this time. Now why you don't want to go, it can be different reasons. It can be the day, time, you ill, you don't feel good. But I pass on an invitation, but guess what? Invite me next time. So what I want to do is encourage you is saying no without saying no. You should not feel guilty. So I don't want you to lose yourself while attempting to please others. How many times we do this? We lose ourselves while attempting to please others because we don't want to say no. And guess what? Or you don't want to be a part of something. It's okay to say no. Now, I want to leave you with 3 tips of saying no without feeling guilty. One is make sure you give yourself some self-care. Giving yourself self-care is uno. Giving yourself some self-care is not selfish. You must give yourself some self-care. 2, saying no gives you a freedom, give you a right. That is something that you are entitled to. There is freedom in saying no. So practice learning to say no. Get in front of the mirror and say no, no, and no. Learn that. Learn to practice to say no. If you always that person that overcommitting yourself to something, learn to start saying no. Learn to start setting no boundaries. Then you have to say no to others to say yes to yourself. You have to learn to say no to say yes to yourself. So I just want to encourage you, learn to say no without feeling guilty. Make sure you set their boundaries. Don't worry about how other people are going to get upset or disappointed, offended by you saying no, because you do not want to feel guilty, because it's not for you to overcommit to things just to make other people happy. Set those boundaries. Look in the mirror. Practice. Learn to say no. Give yourself some self-care. Saying no provides freedom to you, and saying no to others and saying yes to yourself would help you to learn to say no without feeling guilty. God bless.